In this video, I'm going to present the mind equals reality principle of the CTMU, and I'll do this in two formats. Firstly, with a visual presentation, and after that, a debate between a skeptic of the principle and myself. I hope to provide you with a simple way to justify to yourself and to others the truth of the principle. It can also be used as a justification that consciousness outside of a brain, sometimes called disembodied consciousness, is possible. We begin with a supposed distinction between mind and reality. Please bear in mind that the word reality here, as well as in the debate, is used with two context-dependent meanings. This is unfortunately necessary because of the widespread Cartesian view that reality outside mind is not itself a mind. Just remember that when mind and reality are contrasted, what is meant by reality is the supposition of a non-mental reality. When reality is mentioned alongside its containment of the rules by which both reality and minds operate, you can understand this to mean reality as a whole. Now for the explanation of the principle. The first place to begin is with the fact that our minds operate as cognition and perception, and that these allow minds to discern and accept information in reality. That discernment and acceptance is facilitated by whatever rules minds obey. If mind had no such rules, then there would be no recognition or reconfiguration of the information. So we can refer to these rules, embodying cognition and perception, as rules of mind. The next point to bring up is one which the skeptic should agree to, which is that the rules of mind are connected to or a part of the rules of reality, whatever reality's nature may be, since they are entertaining a supposedly non-mental compartment of reality. On the skeptic's view, there wouldn't even be consciousness if the rules of reality didn't contain a subsidiary rule set for minds. It makes sense now to refer to this level of reality, where the rules are situated, or what their origin is, as reality as a whole, because it is ultimately responsible for anything and everything that is real. So it's now this entire ensemble that defines reality as a whole. And because reality as a whole contains the rules of mind, and more than that, this means that reality as a whole is capable of mental representation, just like mind as we experience it is. If this is difficult to grasp, it may help if I summarize the rules of mind as relation CP, for the relation between cognition and perception, and if I summarize the rules of reality as relation W for whole, which contains M for mind, which contains C and P. So this makes it clear that reality as a whole is capable of instantiating the relations between not just those in cognition and perception, which is mental representation as we understand it, but even more relations than that, those in the rest of reality. And remember that M stands for human minds. It represents our own vantage. W contains the mental content of all other minds, including those we know nothing about. It contains the total scope of all possible conscious states, even those that are the most exotic. So reality as a whole is at least capable of mental representation as we understand it. At least that capable. It should now be clear that the simple reasoning that the outside of our mind is non-mental or non-conscious is a point-blank non sequitur. Not being contained by our minds doesn't mean being not in a mind. It's like saying there's air inside my house, therefore outside my house there's no air. The reality inside my mind is mental, therefore the reality outside my mind is not mental. Or inside my brain there's atoms, therefore outside my brain there's no atoms. Okay, it's a non sequitur to try and derive a negative on the outside of a domain from a positive on the inside of that domain. So this type of relationship between a set of rules and its subsets is an example of what in the CTMU is called syndifionesis. It means that the rules governing any given pair of things regress to common characteristics expressed in the rules, and the rules act as a medium, binding them together. That medium is capable of simulating or instantiating anything any of the subset rules are, such as the rules of mind. So that medium is also a mind. Think of it as like a master program which runs a subprogram. The subprogram runs our consciousness, and the master program is reality as a whole. But that means that the master program is everything that the subprogram is, and more. So reality as a whole is a higher form of consciousness. I'll now present the argument in this box as I would ideally present it. Point 1. Mind has cognition and perception, the rules of which must be continuous with the reality from which they accept information. Point 2. The rules of reality that govern both mind and reality contain the rules of mind. Point 3. Reality as a whole contains at least the rules or relations by which our minds operate cognitively and perceptually. Point 4. Reality as a whole is capable of executing the conscious representation our minds are capable of, and more. So we see the flow of the argument. In point 2, we have the containment of the rules of mind by the rules of reality. In point 3, we have it pointed out that reality as a whole contains at least those rules. In point 4, we have it then expressed that reality is capable of executing the rules that it contains. Then we have point 5. Therefore, reality as a whole is a greater form of mind. So again, the analogy with a function that makes use of relations is helpful to see the connection. If our minds are a subset of the functions of reality, then reality is an even more capable kind of function, relating together not only what our minds relate together, representationally, but even more than this. So next, we're going to move on to the debate that I had on the mind equals reality principle with a skeptic. And I think this is worthwhile for two reasons. It tests our understanding of the CTMU by having to explain it, and it exposes poor critical thinking that might underpin objections to it.
But you said the first thing is the mind equals reality principle, and I think what you're going to do is you're just going to explain to me what it is. But I know what it is. Unless you're going to give me some argument that we should believe the mind equals reality principle is true, in which case I apologize and go straight ahead.
Okay, well, basically, reality has to reduce to mind, because
Based on what? Well,
right, so you've got, in mind, you have cognition and perception, which accept information from reality. Well, in order for that to be able to take place, the rules of both that be continuous with the rules that
we've
reality
already
obeys.
talked about this. We've already talked about this. It is continuous, but it goes in the other direction.
And that just means that the rules that govern both mind and reality, it contains
They have to be the same.
the potential for the rules of mind. Right. So at the very least, the common reality that
It
mind and
doesn't
reality
mean
have
anything.
is something that is at the very least running the rules that minds do. So at the very, it's capable of
No,
whatever
I
minds are
mean, yeah,
capable
of
of.
course it's running the bro. It's like you're talking us in a circle, and then you're like getting dizzy. It's like, of course, minds and reality run on the same rules. Minds map. I'm not gonna say it again, man. Minds map reality. Of course, we would expect to see that. Again, an argument, what you're looking for is something that is not also expected on my view. Do you get that?
Yeah, I understand. But I think what I
Okay,
mentioned something
this is
additional.
expected on my view. What you're appealing to right now is expected on my view.
Yeah. What I said additionally that I didn't say before was that, right, so this common reality that, say, reality and mind have, this common medium, it's capable of running the rules that minds obey, at the very least. So it's capable of whatever minds are capable of, right?
I don't know what that means because again, you're reversing the relationship. Minds are just capable of simulating the rules of reality. There's no such. I have no idea what you're thinking of when you say reality is capable of running the rules of minds, except that the only thing I can think you could mean is that reality is capable of containing subjective minds, which obviously it is, but that's obviously not significant.
Yeah, but that also means containing the rules by which minds operate, right?
Well, yes, which are derivative of the rules by which reality operates.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. So the rules by which reality operates are greater than, more capable than the rules by which minds operate.
Okay, so then how does that give us mind equals reality?
Well,
Because in fact, what you've just said basically commits you to the contrary position. What you've just said is reality is greater than mind. That's what you've just said,
okay. Well, it
and
means
I
that
think that's actually the intuitive point of view. That's pretty much what everybody thinks. Pretty much everybody thinks reality is greater than mind. Everybody thinks that. That's the intuitive, common sense view.
no. So it means that reality can't be non-conscious if it's running the
No, it doesn't
rules.
mean that. It doesn't.
It
It
does.
does. It doesn't even. That's the thing is, nothing you said could make anybody think that conclusion.
Well,
Spell it out. What do you think leads us there?
right. So, right when I said that reality is capable of running the rules that minds obey, right, and which you agreed to, that's not the negation of mind. It's like that's not
It's
that
not
doesn't
about it being
contradict
the
mind.
negation of mind.
Pardon me?
It doesn't. The fact.
I'm pausing the discussion to say that he's just diverting from the point now. If reality has rules more expansive than those of a mind, then that reality can't be the opposite of a mind. So he's dismissing it and ignoring it.
It's
That
not
doesn't
about it being
contradict
the
mind.
negation of mind.
Pardon me?
It doesn't. The fact that reality is capable of encapsulating subjective minds, that doesn't tell us that mind equals reality. In fact, it kind of points towards reality being greater than a mind, because the rules of reality are more expansive than the model that exists in a mind.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's not the negation of mind.
It's
No,
not
no, no.
about negating it. It's
That's
just about the
saying
fact that from that we can't infer that reality equals mind. You've committed yourself to them not being equal.
I'm saying that reality is a greater form of mind, greater form of consciousness, more conscious than a mind.
okay.
You haven't given any
That
argument
wouldn't
to
be
that
the
effect.
argument.
I'm saying the rules of mind are encapsulated by reality, and the rules of reality are greater than the rules of mind.
No, 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 no.
I actually think that at this point you're not making sense because you can't say, well, reality is mind, and so when I say that the rules of reality are greater than the rules of mind, what I mean is that the rules of the reality mind are greater than the rules of the mind. I'm sorry, I just can't. I just can't. It's
Yeah, they're capable of more, right? So reality, by dint of the rules that reality has, it's capable of more consciousness than mind is capable of. It's capable of more than mind is
these are just
capable of.
assertions. Like you just keep
You agreed to
interposing
it,
the notion of consciousness.
but you
No,
agreed
I
with me.
don't agree with your dude. I haven't agreed that anything you've said has established what you are asserting.
Yeah,
Okay,
but you're
I
circumventing it.
agree. I may agree with particular assertions that you make. That is not the same as me agreeing that what's happened is you have made a good argument. You have not made a good argument. Nothing you've said has compelled me to think that you are correct about this.
But we agreed up to the last point, and then when I get to the last point,
No,
you're circumventing the
no,
connection.
there's no. That's the thing is, you're calling it the last point. As far as I'm concerned, it's a non sequitur. I literally cannot make out what you think the logic is. I literally can't.
Right. So we agreed that the rules of reality contain both the rules of mind and
Listen
is
to me.
greater.
Try to understand what I'm saying. Try to understand what I'm saying. I
I
can
try now.
agree to. I can agree to individual steps in the process What I'm not agreeing to is the idea that you are lining these steps up in a way that leads you to your conclusion. Does that make sense?
Here, let
I
me try
understand
and
that that's what you mean.
some stuff. Because lots of the stuff he's saying is just opaque. So I just want to get clear. When you say rules of reality, are you trying to imply that there's these like metaphysical laws?
I'm talking about they're the laws by which minds operate. That's what I'm talking about.
But you said rules of reality, right?
Yeah, we were comparing two supposedly separate sets of rules and just showing that they're not actually separate, and that one contains the other.
I'm saying I'm not clear what it means to say there's a rule of reality. Are you insinuating there's like these metaphysical laws?
This was something that Matt and I agreed on. I mean, of course, reality obeys rules. How can it not?
Just describe what you mean by rules of reality.
Well, he wasn't really talking to you. He was talking to me, and I do know what he means. So,
what does he mean?
Right. Yeah. What we see in reality are different states, and we see transitions
just
between
as
the
you
states.
said, metaphysical principles of some kind, just as you said.
Yeah.
Oh, so yeah, I don't. So what are those metaphysical principles?
That's the substance of the discussion, isn't it? He's of the opinion that one of them is mind equals reality. I happen to think that that doesn't make a lot of sense.
Just ask for the argument.
I'm in the middle of it, thank you. I mean, we basically agreed at the point that reality reality has the rules of both reality and mind. So the rules that it has are greater than those of mind. But that implies that reality is capable of more than mind. So if mind is capable of consciousness, reality is capable of more than consciousness, right?
Well, yeah, of course reality is capable of consciousness. Here you are, after all. Jesus. I mean, of it, duh.
So I have to pause it here to point out just how amazing this is. He agrees to a changed version of what I said and then belittles me for it. What I said was an if-then inference. I asked a question, right? So I said, if mind is capable of consciousness, reality is capable of more than consciousness, right? And then in his answer, he refuses to accurately address what I said. The effort he's making to deliberately miss out the key part of my question is obvious. He's deliberately pretending I didn't mention the key connecting point that was in my question, and then acting as if it's my problem, as if it's a problem in my thinking.
Duh, here you are. That's the whole premise. Obviously, it must be capable of consciousness.
Right, but
that's what you are. You are the universe exhibiting the phenomenon of consciousness.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is that reality is a mind. Like, reality has mind.
No, yeah, again, that bit is no. No, you keep doing this thing where you say a series of things, the things I agree with, and then you say, well, that means this, and you haven't actually laid out any kind of like inferential structure that would make me agree with you that the things that you've said are a good reason to think the conclusion you're trying to put on me.
Okay, well...
And so it's like we keep going in a circle where I ask for an argument, and what I feel I'm receiving from you is a series of statements about what the beliefs are, and then at the end, when I've agreed with some form of some of the assertions, you go, but that means this. And I go, how? Like, surely that's what the argument is supposed to tell me. So if at the end of the argument I still don't understand, obviously you are not doing a good job.
All right, well, let me try again. So, but let's just replace the word rules with set of operations. Is that okay?
No.
Oh, okay. But why not?
Because set of operations is a specifically temporal concept.
I'm not sure. I mean...
Operate. An operation is a process. Operate is a verb.
Well, I'd say that there are mathematical concepts. There are operations which don't necessarily take place temporally in a temporal sequence.
Yes, they do. Yes, they do.
Okay, so what about relation? Can relations be atemporal?
Sure.
All right.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. So yeah, I just say like the relations that reality has are more encompassing than the relations that minds have.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay. Well,
Those relations are logical in nature, not linguistic.
I'd say that. So that just means that reality is capable of representing more relations than minds are. Right? Because that's the point.
It doesn't mean it's capable of representing anything because reality doesn't do representing. That's something only subjects do.
I'm pausing it to point out that with that comment, he's flat out begging the question against the argument. The conclusion of the reasoning I am presenting is that reality represents things mentally. It doesn't work to just assert that the argument can't arrive at its conclusion by asserting that the conclusion is already false. You have to address the reasoning itself. That's what this is. And by it, he means the reasoning. So he's trying to deny the reasoning by denying the conclusion. It also contradicts what he said earlier when he said it's not about it, reality, being the negation of mind. Obviously that is his conclusion, and he's bringing that conclusion up right now. So it's clear that this is a question-begging fallacy. Okay, so that's the point that they were breaking apart from each other. So, but you agreed that before you agreed that the rules that reality has are more encompassing than the rules that minds have.
Of course, like I said, everybody agrees with that.
Yeah, okay.
There's not a person on the street who wouldn't agree with it.
Yeah, okay. So why is reality not capable of representing things and not being a subject if it is more encompassing than the rules that minds have?
Well, in principle, it is capable of that. That's why it exhibits that behavior in a certain phenomenon we call subjectivity.
So he's doing it again, willfully overlooking that I mentioned more encompassing. And if he accepts that capability stems from the rules that are contained by reality, then he has to accept that reality as a whole can represent more than what our minds can represent.
So obviously it is capable. Here we are. The way it's capable is by manifesting complicated hardware to support the very sophisticated software that we call a conscious experience. So it's like you're saying, how come reality can't support a representational entity? It can. That's what this is. That's what you and I are. This is reality supporting a representational entity.
Yeah, but what I'm trying to show you is that the reality as a whole is capable of it.
Yeah, but you're not. That's the thing is, you're not giving me any evidence of that. That's the thing you're not doing. You're not giving me an argument that would compel me to believe that.
Well, I just think you're choosing not to see it, right? So reality as a
No,
whole.
well, let's ask everybody else in the VC if anybody else can make out your argument. Would you like to do that?
I mean, you agreed that the rules of reality are more encompassing than the rules of mind.
I'm going to get angry if you keep repeating that, okay? Yes, I agree with that statement, but I interpret the meaning of it differently to you. Get that through your head.
Well,
For me, what it means to say that the rules of reality are broader or more all-encompassing than the rules of mind is it means to say that mind is derivative of reality. That is what it means.
Right.
So for you to continually appeal to that as if that should convince me is very annoying.
Well, I think you're just choosing not to see it. It means that reality is capable of representing.
I mean, listen, man. That idea, I'm choosing not to see it. I can't. I don't have patience for it. So we can try one more time. But if you're gonna settle on that, I'm gonna terminate the conversation. Sorry.
Okay. I mean,
Yeah.
you understand my position, I understand yours. So I mean, we just agree to disagree, right?
Why do you think we disagree?
I don't know.
Okay. I think we disagree because you're trying to convince me of something, and I keep explaining to you that you're not articulating an argument.
I'm going to give some analysis on this debate. In the first half, there was a lot of cutting ahead from him, where he'd interrupt me to tell me I said this already, but that I provided no justification or argument. You can't complain they haven't explained something if you constantly stop them. Stopping someone from speaking to tell them that they haven't told you something is actually just belligerence. The other major problem was that he was intentionally missing the connecting point, which was made clear when he misrepresented what I had said moments earlier. But the connection was between what reality is capable of, because of the rules of which it consists, which he agreed to, and what reality can internally represent, with my conclusion being that reality as a whole can represent more mental content than human minds. I think that a way to deal with both the intentional point missing and the belligerent interruption is to find a more concise and clear way of expressing that connection. And with that, I'll finish the video. Thanks for watching.